Shut up and sit down.
What's the story, Internet?
Shut up and sit down.
What's the story, Internet? Hope everyone is having a wonderful day so far. I'm here to review the weekend's football, and then there would normally be a second video coming out with a preview of the week's football, midweek's football, but it's turning over to the international matches. And not that they're not important, because it's World Cup qualifiers, so very, very important, with a couple of odd friendlies mixed in there, but there's not really any huge matches. There's not like a Portugal versus Spain or an England versus Germany or anything like that, and it's right at the beginning of the qualifying, so it's not a huge major thing. So I'm not really going to discuss it purely on the basis that, I mean, the World Cup isn't until next year anyway. It's if there's any big upsets, then I'll probably make a video on it, but I'm thinking of taking this time to have a little bit of a break, and unless, for example, last time when there was an international break, I made some videos on some footballing stories. So if I can see any of those, I might make make a similar sort of video. So, but if that's not the case, Premier League returns on April the 3rd, so I will be back then, which is, let me just pull up the calendar on my computer here, which is next Saturday. So I'll be back with a video next Thursday or Friday, and if there were any upsets, I'll have a look through all the international results. I'll still be paying attention. Got my England shirt on, supporting England. So, but like I said, there's not any major, it's not a big competition. Yes, it's qualifiers, but there's no big head-to-head matches. Biggest match I can see is Belgium versus Wales, and they're not exactly rivals. It's just two relatively big teams in Europe. So, but that being said, that out of the way, let's go through some of the matches that we had across Europe, because it wasn't just in England, and we had some relatively big results actually. So the first one I want to discuss is PSG versus Lyon. This is one of the matches that I picked out as quite a big match because of their table position, and PSG ended up winning 4-2. So this put them level on points with Lille, who also ended up winning, on 63, but their goal difference took them to the top of the table, so PSG are back on top now. So it goes PSG, then Lille, and then Lyon, 3 points behind them. Lyon are the team that they beat 4-2. And then Monaco is in 4th on 59, so only 4 points between the top four, so quite competitive in France, which doesn't very often happen. It's usually Paris is just running away with the whole league and everyone else is just left in the dust to feed off the scraps. So so yeah, quite a big result in France. Let's have a look. Were there any big results in Spain? Nothing major, business as usual in Spain. Now, I know there was a big result in the Serie A because Roma played Napoli, and Napoli won 2-0. So quite a big match in Italy. Sorry, excuse me. I just had my dinner and it's coming back to get me. It means that Napoli go above Roma into 5th. They've got a game in hand and they're 3 points clear now on 53. Roma's still on 50. So Napoli won 2-0 thanks to 2 goals from Dries Mertens. So great performance from the diminutive Belgian. AC Milan beat Fiorentina 3-2. Keeping pace with Inter Milan, which it actually looks like Inter didn't play this weekend. I wonder why. Yeah, they didn't play. So it puts AC Milan 6 points behind Inter, so still a distance, but they're getting there. Although they had a much better weekend than Juventus, losing to Benevento of all teams. Now, no disrespect to Benevento, but they are 16th, and beating a Juventus side that contains Matthijs de Ligt, Szczesny, Cristiano Ronaldo. The list goes on and on and on of the great players, Alexandro, and yeah, what a performance from Benevento. Fair play to them. So yeah, quite a big weekend in Italian football. Looks like Inter's probably going to run away with it. They have a game in hand, 6 points clear of AC Milan, 10 points clear of Juventus. Looks like they're probably going to run away with it, in all honesty. Moving over to Germany. So Bayern Munich played Stuttgart, and I called this out because it's a derby match. It was a rivalry, so not a huge match, because Stuttgart are down in 7th or 8th place. But Bayern Munich got a red card in the 12th minute. Alphonso Davies, such an instrumental part of their team, getting sent off. And then Robert Lewandowski decided to score a hat-trick, and Bayern Munich won 4-0. So even though they got that red card in the 12th minute, by the 39th minute they were up 4-0 and just coasted for the rest of the match. So Stuttgart put in a good performance. They had the possession, 58-42. They had 12 shots to Bayern's 15 and 4 on target to Bayern's 7. So it wasn't an easy match by any means, but Bayern Munich did what Bayern Munich does and kept on going. So Leipzig won as well, 1-0. So they're only 4 points behind Bayern. So yeah, very interesting across Europe. So moving on to the Premier League, we did have a couple of Premier League matches, but not too many because it was the FA Cup. So Fulham won, Leeds United 2, so not a good result for Fulham. They really could have done with at least a point. So that leaves them 2 points behind Newcastle and 6 points behind Brighton. And both of those teams have games in hand, so very, very difficult for them. Now Newcastle not performing well, so there's always a chance that they'll slip up. Steve Bruce is one of the favourites to get sacked, so not good times in in Newcastle. If that's the case, then I can see Fulham will have a lot of hope to perform and to stay up in the Premier League this season. Good result for Leeds United. They are in 11th, 2 points behind Aston Villa, and 2 points ahead of Crystal Palace. So in a good position, especially on their first season back in the league. So yeah, good performance from Leeds. It was very even, 52 to 48% possession for Leeds, 13 shots for both teams and 6 on target, and for Fulham 4 on target for Leeds. So good performance from both teams. I think that it could very easily have gone one way or the other, or it could have finished level. It was just one of those matches. So moving on to the next game. Speaking of Newcastle not doing well, Brighton 3, Newcastle 0. Just not a good performance from Newcastle. I mean, just listen to these statistics. 66% possession to 34% for Brighton. 11 shots to 3, 6 shots on target to 1. So, relatively embarrassing statistics for Newcastle. I mean, no, not taking anything away from Brighton and not meaning any disrespect, but at the same time, should have put in a little bit of a performance, but there just wasn't any fight, unfortunately. So, Tottenham 2, Aston Villa 0. Good performance from Tottenham. They desperately needed a result off the back of that awful loss to Dinamo Zagreb, and then the North London derby loss. So again, very even match, 51 to 49% possession in Aston Villa's favour, 8 shots to Spurs' 9, and then 1 shot on target to Spurs' 3. So that puts Spurs 1 point behind West Ham and 2 points behind Chelsea in 6th, and it puts them 2 points ahead of Liverpool and Everton, who are level on points, but Everton have a game in hand. So yeah, a great performance from, a great result from Tottenham anyway. And Aston Villa are in 10th, but not a disrespectful 10th. They're in a good position, only 7 points behind Tottenham. So I mean, not to say they'll make a jump for Europe, but they're in a very good, respectable position. So fair play to Tottenham on that one. And then the big match was a bit of a London derby. It was Arsenal against West Ham. But the reason it was a big match was West Ham went 3-0 up in the first half, thanks to Jesse Lingard, Jared Bowen and Thomas Souček. And then 2 own goals, Souček again, Craig Dawson, and then an Alexandre Lacazette goal, and it ended 3-3. So a great performance from West Ham, but an even better performance from Arsenal to come back. West Ham will feel a little bit hard done by just because of the own goals, but great performance from Arsenal to come fighting back, and very well deserved. 15 shots for West Ham, 16 for Arsenal, so very even in that regard. 5 on target to 7. The possession, Arsenal had 64% possession, but they just couldn't make the most of it and couldn't take the victory. So fair play to West Ham. It's also nice to see Jesse Lingard performing so well. He's been a bit hard done by at Manchester United the last couple of years with the likes of Bruno Fernandes and Paul Pogba, Fred, Matic and Scott McTominay. And now with Donny van de Beek, it just wasn't going to get a look in, unfortunately. So I'm glad to see that he's performing well. It's really nice to see. And even got an England call-up, so hopefully he performs well there as well. So yeah, a decent result for both teams. It leaves Arsenal in 9th on 42, and it leaves West Ham in 5th with 49. So they're right there or thereabouts. I think they're going to finish right around this point in the table, whether they make it to the Champions League, which would be insane for West Ham, or stay in the Europa League, or maybe drop down a little bit. But this is an incredible performance from West Ham, and credit to David Moyes and his men for that. So jumping over to the FA Cup, unfortunately, and you'll see why in a minute. So Bournemouth 0, Southampton 3. Great performance from Southampton. Bournemouth just didn't look up for it, unfortunately. They had a relatively good possession, 44% to Southampton's 56. 7 shots to Southampton 16, 5 on target for both. But Southampton just looked up for it. And Moussa Djenepo with that incredible first half goal, and it was Southampton's game from there, really. So the other match was Everton 0, Manchester City 2. Manchester City leaving it late, Gundogan in the 84th minute and Kevin De Bruyne in the 90th to break Everton's heart. They did have 75% of the possession to Everton's 25, with 15 shots to Everton's 10 and 6 on target to Everton's 2. But Everton will still feel hard done by because they were still in it with that amount of shots, and City did leave it late. It's almost preferable to get the pain out of the way in the first 5 minutes, score 2 goals, and then you have nothing to lose. But if it comes so late, you can't come back from it, and that's what Everton found. So, and then at half-time during the Sunday matches, the draw was made for some reason. I think it was actually during half-time with the Leicester City versus Manchester United one, which we'll get into in a minute. And it was Leicester City or Manchester United versus Southampton, and then Chelsea or Sheffield United versus Manchester City. So to see who goes through to that one, Chelsea won 2-0 against Sheffield United, make it through to the next round. Sheffield United, they put up a fight, they weren't completely out of it. It was unfortunately an own goal that undid them in the first half, and then Ziyech made it 2-0 in the 92nd minute and just killed off the game. 63% possession for Chelsea, so they controlled the match, but 8 shots to 7, and Sheffield United had 4 on target compared to Chelsea's 3. So for the team that's in 20th in the Premier League, they didn't put in a bad showing by any means. So, and then over to the other one, Leicester City 3, Manchester United 1. Just Manchester United looked tired. They just really did. I think that travelling to Milan and then making it back to Manchester late and then travelling to Leicester, I think they were just absolutely run ragged. And no finer example of that than Harry Maguire, because he's played every minute that he possibly can this season. So I think the international break will do them good. Change of scenery. Not relaxing because it's World Cup qualifying, and international stage puts a little bit more pressure on you because you've got an entire country rather than just your own club's fans. But I think it'll do Manchester United good to have the players go away and come back feeling refreshed, and I hope that they do that. So, yeah, fair play to Leicester City. They were well worth the win. Possession was even-ish, 52 to 48% for Manchester United. 11 shots for Leicester to United's 9, 5 on target for both. Yeah, I think the only thing that you can say is that it was just pure exhaustion. Just the players were tired. If they were fully fit, I'm not saying that Leicester wouldn't have won, and I'm not saying that they didn't deserve to win, but I think that definitely played a factor in my absolutely unbiased opinion, obviously. So, so the semi-finals are set for the 17th of April. It's Leicester versus Southampton, Chelsea versus City, so that'll be the big one. No more league football for 2 weeks. It will be back next week. So as I mentioned earlier in the video, I'm not going to be doing a preview for the World Cup qualifiers. There's no huge major matches that I could see, maybe a couple in Africa or Asia that are rivalries, but for the most part it just looked like it was the general there or thereabouts. So I will be back with you next week, unless something interesting happens in the world of football. Then I will be back to go over that and explain it and see where that takes me. So, until then, if I don't see you until next week, I hope you all stay safe, stay out of trouble. If I see you beforehand, then I'll see you then. But thank you very much for watching, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Until next time, ta-ra for now.